What does it mean to carry a divine purpose? To walk as one of God's chosen? It is a question that resonates deeply within the hearts of those who feel the undeniable call to something greater, something sacred. This path is not for everyone. It is a journey marked by revelations, challenges, and the constant need for faith and discernment. Yet, for those who embrace it, the rewards are extraordinary, a life aligned with God's will, overflowing with purpose, peace, and blessings. At the core of this journey lies a profound truth. The treasures God places within us are not meant to be shared carelessly, but to be protected, nurtured, and revealed in His perfect time. The secrets God entrusts to His chosen ones are sacred keys, unlocking not only the fulfillment of their purpose, but also the blessings and protection that come with walking in alignment with His plan. However, guarding these divine secrets is no small task. It requires wisdom, patience, and unwavering trust in God. In this guide, we will explore 7 transformative principles that form the foundation of the chosen one's journey. Each principle sheds light on the unique challenges and blessings of this path, offering insights and tools to navigate it with faith and confidence. 1. Divine secrets and their importance. Understanding the sacred value of the revelations God entrusts to us and the responsibility to protect them. 2. The power of silence. Embracing silence as a shield that guards the sacred from unnecessary exposure and interference. 3. The dangers of premature sharing. Recognizing how sharing too soon can disrupt God's plans and open the door to spiritual opposition. 4. Strategic tools for protection. Learning the divine strategies of silence, prayer, and discernment to safeguard what God has placed within us. 5. Solitude as divine preparation. Viewing seasons of solitude as a sacred time of growth, refinement, and deeper connection with God. 6. Timing and discernment. Trusting in God's perfect timing and using discernment to align with His will. 7. Blessings of protection and faith. Experiencing the peace, strength, and fulfillment that come from honoring God's trust and walking faithfully in His plan. Each of these principles reveals an essential aspect of what it means to live as a chosen one, carrying the weight of a divine mission with grace and humility. This journey is not easy, but it is profoundly rewarding. It calls for a deep commitment to guarding what is sacred, trusting in God's timing, and remaining steadfast in faith. Are you ready to step into the fullness of your calling? Let us walk through these 7 principles together, uncovering the wisdom and strength God has prepared for you on this sacred journey. Part 1. Divine secrets and their importance. Divine secrets are among the most profound gifts that God entrusts to His chosen ones. These are not mere ideas, plans, or insights. They are sacred revelations that carry immense spiritual weight. They come in moments of quiet communion with God, often when the soul is still and the heart is open to His voice. These secrets are personal and transformative, designed to guide, protect, and shape the path of the believer in ways that surpass human understanding. When God reveals these sacred truths, He does so with a purpose. Each revelation is a glimpse into His divine plan for our lives, a reminder that we are part of something far greater than ourselves. These secrets illuminate the unique mission each of us carries, aligning our steps with His will and empowering us to walk boldly in our calling. However, with this privilege comes a responsibility of immense gravity, the responsibility to guard these divine treasures with discernment, wisdom, and care. The Bible repeatedly emphasizes the importance of protecting what is sacred. In Matthew 7 verse 6, Jesus warns, "Do not give what is holy to dogs. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces." This verse is a sobering reminder that not everyone is equipped to understand or value the divine revelations entrusted to us. Just as pearls are precious and should not be carelessly scattered, so too must we safeguard the spiritual truths that God has placed in our hearts. Divine secrets are not meant for public display or casual discussion. They are sacred, intimate, and deeply personal. Sharing them indiscriminately can lead to unintended consequences, such as misunderstandings, judgment, or even spiritual attacks. The enemy often seeks to disrupt God's plans by sowing doubt, envy, and confusion through the reactions of others. This is why silence and discernment are essential. By keeping these revelations close, we protect them from contamination and preserve their power. The significance of divine secrets extends beyond their protective value. They also serve as a testament to God's trust in us. When He entrusts us with a sacred revelation, He is affirming our readiness to carry out His will. This trust is a profound honor, but it also requires humility. It is not our role to flaunt these gifts or seek validation through them. Instead, we must approach them with reverence, recognizing that they are a reflection of God's grace and wisdom. In guarding divine secrets, we demonstrate our faith in God's timing. Patience is an integral part of this process. While the temptation to share these truths may be strong, especially when they fill us with excitement or pride, we must resist. Speaking prematurely can disrupt the delicate process through which God's plans unfold, just as a seed requires time to germinate and grow before it can bear fruit. So too do divine revelations require nurturing in silence before they are ready to be revealed. Silence, however, is not merely about withholding words. It is an active spiritual discipline that fosters deeper trust in God. By choosing silence, we create space for Him to work in our lives without interference. It is an act of surrender, a way of saying, "Lord, I trust You to bring this to fruition in Your perfect timing." This trust is not always easy, particularly in a world that often values instant results and external validation. Yet, it is in this surrender that we align ourselves most closely with God's will. The responsibility of safeguarding divine secrets also calls for discernment in our relationships. Not everyone in our lives is capable of supporting or understanding the calling we carry. Some may dismiss or trivialize it, while others may react with envy or negativity. These reactions, whether intentional or not, can create spiritual barriers that hinder our progress. By exercising wisdom and choosing whom to confide in, we protect ourselves and the sacred purpose entrusted to us. This does not mean we must journey alone. God often places trusted individuals in our lives to provide encouragement, guidance, and support. However, even among these trusted allies, discretion is key. It is important to seek God's guidance in determining whom to share with and what to reveal. Prayer becomes an essential tool in this process, helping us discern the intentions of those around us and aligning our actions with His will. The journey of a chosen one is not without challenges. There will be times when the weight of carrying divine secrets feels overwhelming. Doubts may creep in, and the desire for human affirmation may tempt us to speak when we should remain silent. In these moments, we must turn to God for strength and reassurance. His word reminds us that He is our refuge and strength, a present help in times of trouble. By leaning on Him, we find the courage to continue guarding what is sacred. Ultimately, the importance of divine secrets lies in their transformative power. They are not just pieces of information, but keys to unlocking our spiritual potential. When we honor these revelations, we allow God's plans to unfold without interference, bringing us closer to the purpose for which we were created. They remind us of our identity as God's chosen ones, set apart for a mission that is both unique and eternal. To fully embrace this calling, we must cultivate a spirit of humility, patience, and faith. We must learn to listen more than we speak, to act with intention rather than impulse, and to trust in God's timing above all else. By doing so, we not only protect the divine treasures entrusted to us, but also position ourselves to receive the fullness of His blessings. Divine secrets are a sacred trust, a testament to God's love and faith in us. They are a reminder that we are part of His divine plan, called to walk a path that reflects His glory. As we guard these secrets with care, we honor the one who entrusted them to us, allowing His work in our lives to shine brightly in His perfect time. In this, we find our true purpose and the peace that comes from walking in alignment with His will. Part 2. The Power of Silence. Silence is one of the most profound tools in the spiritual arsenal of the chosen ones. In a world that glorifies constant communication and demands instant validation, silence might seem counterintuitive. However, For those entrusted with divine secrets, silence is far more than the absence of words. It is a deliberate act of wisdom, discernment, and protection. It is a shield that guards what is sacred, ensuring that God's plans remain untainted and undisrupted by external forces. The Bible offers numerous insights into the power of silence. Proverbs reminds us, "Whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble." This simple yet profound truth unearths the dangers of speaking without discernment. Words are powerful, capable of building or destroying, and what we share has the potential to shape the direction of our lives. For the chosen ones, whose purpose is uniquely tied to God's divine will, this principle takes on even greater significance. Revealing too much, too soon, can open doors to envy, judgment, and spiritual attacks, jeopardizing the sanctity of the mission God has entrusted to us. Silence is not weakness, it is strength under control. It requires discipline to resist the urge to explain, defend, or validate ourselves. Often, we feel compelled to share our dreams, plans, or divine revelations with others out of excitement, pride, or a desire for affirmation. Yet, in doing so, we risk exposing what is sacred to those who may not understand or value it. Not everyone in our circle possesses the spiritual maturity or insight to honor what God is doing in our lives. Some may dismiss or mock our revelations, while others may react with envy or negativity, intentionally or unintentionally creating barriers that delay or distort God's work. Silence is, therefore, a divine strategy, a means of protecting what is sacred. When we remain silent, we shield ourselves from unnecessary interference and create a space where God can work without hindrance. Silence allows us to focus on nurturing the seeds of purpose that God has planted in our hearts, free from the distractions of external opinions or criticism. It also keeps the enemy at bay, as he cannot attack what he does not know. By choosing silence, we build an invisible wall around our calling, safeguarding it from spiritual sabotage. Jesus himself modeled the power of silence during his earthly ministry. In moments of intense scrutiny or confrontation, he often chose to remain silent rather than engage in unnecessary dialogue. When questioned by Herod, Jesus gave him no answer. This was not a sign of fear or weakness, but an act of divine wisdom. Jesus understood that not every question required a response, and that silence could be more powerful than words. His example teaches us that silence is a tool of discernment, allowing us to navigate complex situations with grace and clarity. For the chosen ones, silence is not only a defensive measure, but also an act of trust in God's timing. God's plans often require time to unfold, and speaking prematurely can disrupt the delicate process of preparation. Like a gardener tending to seeds, we must protect and nurture the revelations God has given us until they are ready to bear fruit. This requires patience, humility, and faith, qualities that are cultivated in the quiet moments of reflection and prayer. In addition to protecting divine secrets, silence fosters a deeper connection with God. When we choose to remain silent, we create space for His voice to resonate more clearly in our lives. The noise of the world often drowns out the whispers of the Holy Spirit, but in silence, we can hear His guidance, discern His will, and draw closer to His presence. Silence becomes a sanctuary where we can rest in God's peace and receive the wisdom we need to navigate our spiritual journey. Silence also transforms our relationships. By exercising discretion in what we share, we learn to discern who truly supports and understands our calling. Not everyone in our lives is equipped to handle the weight of the purpose God has placed within us. Some may unintentionally plant seeds of doubt or fear, while others may deliberately seek to undermine our progress. Silence acts as a filter, helping us identify those who align with God's plan for our lives and separating us from those who may hinder our growth. This does not mean we should live in isolation or secrecy. God often places trusted individuals in our lives to encourage and support us. However, even among these allies, discretion is key. Sharing everything with everyone can dilute the power of what God is doing in our lives. Instead, we must seek God's guidance in determining whom to confide in and what to reveal. This requires a heart attuned to the Holy Spirit and a commitment to aligning our actions with His will. The discipline of silence also teaches us to rely more on God than on human validation. In moments of doubt or uncertainty, we may be tempted to seek reassurance from others by sharing our struggles or achievements. However, true strength comes from placing our trust in God alone. When we choose silence, we demonstrate our faith in His ability to guide, protect, and provide for us. It is a declaration that we value His opinion above all others and that we trust His timing to reveal His plans in their fullness. Practicing silence is not always easy, especially in a culture that values constant communication and rewards visibility. It requires a conscious effort to resist the urge to speak and to prioritize reflection and prayer. Yet, the rewards of silence are immeasurable. It allows us to protect what is sacred, align ourselves with God's will, and cultivate a deeper sense of peace and purpose. For the chosen ones, silence is not just a tool but a way of life. It is a daily commitment to honoring the divine trust placed upon us and safeguarding the treasures God has given us. By practicing silence, we become more discerning, more focused, and more attuned to the voice of the Holy Spirit. We create a space where God's plans can flourish without interference, and we position ourselves to receive His blessings in their appointed time. In conclusion, the power of silence lies in its ability to protect, nurture, and strengthen. It is a shield against the forces that seek to disrupt our purpose and a sanctuary where we can draw closer to God. By embracing silence, we align ourselves with His wisdom, trust in His timing, and honor the sacred calling He has placed upon our lives. It is through this quiet obedience that we find the strength to walk boldly in our purpose, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. Part 3. The dangers of premature sharing. Premature sharing of divine revelations is one of the most common pitfalls that chosen ones face. These sacred truths, entrusted to us by God, are powerful and transformative. However, when revealed too soon or to the wrong audience, they can lose their impact, become misunderstood, or even provoke opposition. The Bible warns us of this in Matthew 7 verse 6, where Jesus says, "Do not give what is holy to dogs. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces." This verse serves as a cautionary reminder that not everyone is prepared to understand or honor what God has placed in your heart. The consequences of premature sharing are profound. At first, it may seem harmless to share a vision, plan, or revelation out of excitement, pride, or a desire for validation. However, this act can open the door to spiritual attacks, delays, and even betrayal. Not everyone has the spiritual maturity to see God's work in your life for what it truly is. Some may react with skepticism, others with envy, and still others with outright hostility. These reactions, whether intentional or unintentional, can create barriers that hinder the fulfillment of God's plan for you. One of the clearest biblical examples of the dangers of premature sharing is the story of Joseph. The son of Jacob, Joseph was given powerful dreams by God, visions of his future prominence and purpose. Out of youthful enthusiasm and perhaps a desire for acknowledgement, Joseph shared these dreams with his brothers. Instead of celebrating his divine calling, his brothers were consumed by envy and hatred. Their reaction led to betrayal, as they sold Joseph into slavery, setting off a chain of events that would test his faith and character. Although God ultimately redeemed Joseph's story and used his trials to fulfill a greater purpose, his experience stands as a cautionary tale. It illustrates that even those closest to us, our family, friends, or confidants, may not always be the right audience for our revelations. Their reactions can stem from their own insecurities, lack of faith, or inability to see God's work beyond their own understanding. This is why discernment is critical in deciding when and with whom to share the sacred truths God has entrusted to us. The spiritual realm also reacts to premature sharing. When a divine plan is spoken aloud before its appointed time, it becomes vulnerable to opposition. The enemy is always seeking ways to disrupt God's work in our lives. By revealing too much too soon, we provide him with the information he needs to plant seeds of doubt. fear, or confusion. This spiritual interference can manifest in various forms: unexpected obstacles, delays, or even the derailment of opportunities that were meant to bring us closer to our purpose. In addition to external opposition, premature sharing can weaken the sacred connection we have with God. Divine revelations are often given to us in moments of stillness, prayer, or intimate communion with Him. When we speak of these sacred truths without discernment, we risk diminishing their sanctity. They are no longer treasures held close to our hearts, but ideas exposed to the scrutiny and judgment of others. This can lead to doubt, not only from those we share with, but also within ourselves, as we begin to question the validity of what God has shown us. The process of nurturing a divine revelation is much like tending to a delicate seed. A seed requires the right environment to grow: fertile soil, adequate water, and protection from external elements. Similarly, the plans and visions God plants in our hearts need time to develop, shielded from forces that could harm their growth. When we share these seeds prematurely, we expose them to harsh conditions that can stunt their development or destroy them altogether. The emotional toll of premature sharing can also be significant. When a sacred truth is met with disbelief, criticism, or negativity, it can be deeply discouraging. The weight of others' doubt or envy can drain our enthusiasm and shake our confidence. This is particularly true when these reactions come from people we trust and look to for support. The pain of betrayal or rejection can be a heavy burden, one that leaves lasting scars on our faith and relationships. To avoid these pitfalls, it is essential to practice discernment and strategic silence. Not every revelation is meant to be shared, and not every audience is prepared to receive it. Before speaking, we must ask ourselves, will sharing this glorify God? Is this the right time? Is this the right person? These questions help us pause and reflect, ensuring that our words align with God's will rather than our own desires for validation or recognition. Prayer is a vital tool in navigating this discernment. By bringing our plans, visions, and struggles to God in prayer, we place them in the safest possible hands. God provides clarity and guidance, helping us to see the bigger picture and to recognize when and with whom it is safe to share. This process requires patience and humility, as we trust in God's timing rather than rushing to seek immediate results or approval. It is also important to cultivate a trusted circle of individuals who can support and encourage us in our spiritual journey. These people should be chosen carefully, based on their faith, character, and alignment with God's will. Even within this circle, discretion remains crucial. Sharing only what is necessary and appropriate ensures that the sanctity of our divine revelations is preserved. The story of Mary, the mother of Jesus, offers a powerful example of this principle. When the angel Gabriel revealed her sacred purpose, Mary did not rush to share it with the world. Instead, as Luke tells us, she treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. By keeping her revelation close, Mary allowed it to mature in the safety of her relationship with God, free from external judgment or interference. In embracing the discipline of silence and discernment, we protect not only ourselves, but also the divine purpose entrusted to us. This protection creates a space for God's plans to unfold without disruption, ensuring that they come to fruition in His perfect timing. The chosen ones are called to be stewards of God's mysteries, safeguarding them with reverence and care. By doing so, we honor the trust He has placed in us and position ourselves to fulfill the mission He has designed for our lives. Premature sharing is not just a matter of timing. It is a test of faith, patience, and obedience. It challenges us to prioritize God's will over our own desires and to trust in His ability to bring His plans to completion. When we resist the urge to speak before the appointed time, we demonstrate our reliance on Him and our commitment to the sacred calling He has placed upon us. This act of restraint is not weakness but strength, a reflection of the divine wisdom that guides us as chosen ones. Part 4. Strategic Tools for Protection. For the chosen ones, safeguarding divine secrets is both a responsibility and a spiritual discipline. These sacred revelations, entrusted by God, hold immense power and purpose. But they also face vulnerability when exposed to the wrong people or circumstances. To protect what is holy, God provides us with strategic tools that act as shields against the forces of doubt, envy, and spiritual interference. These tools are not merely practical advice, but profound principles rooted in Scripture and divine wisdom, designed to preserve the purity of our calling and align us with God's perfect will. The first and perhaps most vital tool is strategic silence. Silence, far from being an act of weakness, is a deliberate choice to withhold what is precious from unnecessary exposure. Words carry immense spiritual weight, as Proverbs reminds us. The tongue has the power of life and death. Speaking prematurely or without discernment can create spiritual breaches, allowing external forces to disrupt God's work in our lives. By practicing silence, we protect the sacred from being trampled by misunderstanding, doubt, or malice. Strategic silence is particularly important when navigating relationships. Not everyone in our lives is equipped to understand or support the divine purpose we carry. Some may lack the spiritual maturity to recognize God's hand in our lives, while others may react with envy or skepticism. When we share sacred truths indiscriminately, we risk exposing them to those who might distort or devalue them. Silence acts as a filter, ensuring that what is shared is aligned with God's will and intended for the right audience at the right time. Jesus himself exemplified the power of strategic silence during his earthly ministry. In moments of confrontation or interrogation, he often chose not to respond. When questioned by Herod, Jesus remained silent, recognizing that no explanation would change the heart of someone unwilling to believe. His silence was not a retreat, but a demonstration of divine wisdom, showing that not every revelation needs to be voiced, especially in the presence of those who cannot receive it. The second tool God provides is fortress prayer. Prayer is more than a spiritual practice. It is a fortress that shields us from external and internal threats. When we bring our dreams, plans, and revelations to God in prayer, we place them in the safest hands. Through prayer, we gain discernment to recognize when to speak and when to remain silent, and we receive the strength to resist the temptation to seek human validation over divine approval. Prayer also acts as a spiritual covering, protecting us from unseen dangers. In moments of uncertainty, it is through prayer that we find clarity and direction. The story of Nehemiah illustrates this beautifully. Before embarking on the monumental task of rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, Nehemiah kept his plans hidden and turned to God in prayer. Nehemiah says, "I told no one what my God had put in my heart to do." His wisdom in withholding his vision until the right moment ensured that his mission could proceed without interference. Prayer not only fortified his resolve, but also allowed God to prepare the way for success. For chosen ones, fortress prayer should become a daily habit. It is through consistent communication with God that we build a strong spiritual foundation, one that can withstand the storms of doubt, fear, and opposition. By prioritizing prayer, we align ourselves with God's will, allowing Him to guide our steps and protect our purpose. Prayer is the bridge between our earthly challenges and divine solutions, a reminder that we are never walking this journey alone. The third essential tool is building a list of trusted people. While silence and prayer are invaluable, God often places individuals in our lives who are meant to support and uplift us. However, not everyone around us is worthy of hearing or holding the sacred revelations we carry. Discernment is key when identifying those who can be trusted with fragments of our purpose. A trusted person is someone who demonstrates spiritual maturity, alignment with God's values, and genuine care for your well-being. Proverbs states, "A gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy person keeps a secret." True allies celebrate your victories without envy, offer encouragement without judgment, and pray for your growth without seeking personal gain. These individuals are rare and precious, and identifying them requires prayerful consideration. Even among trusted allies, discretion remains important. Sharing too much, even with well-intentioned individuals, can dilute the sanctity of what God has entrusted to you. Trust should be built gradually, based on consistent evidence of faithfulness and understanding. Before sharing, always bring the matter to God in prayer, asking for discernment and guidance. Lord, you might pray, reveal to me the hearts of those around me and guide me to those who will protect and honor what you have placed within me. In addition to these three tools, strategic silence, fortress prayer, and trusted allies, God equips us with the wisdom to recognize the spiritual principles at work in our lives. One such principle is the importance of timing. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 reminds us, "To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven." Not every revelation is meant to be shared immediately. Some truths need time to mature in the quiet safety of God's presence before they can bear fruit. By rushing to share prematurely, we risk exposing these seeds to harsh conditions that can stunt their growth or destroy them altogether. Just as a gardener waits for the right season to plant and harvest, we must trust in God's timing to reveal what He has placed within us. This requires patience, humility, and faith in His plan, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. Finally, we must remember that protecting divine secrets is not about fear, but about honoring what is sacred. It is an act of obedience, faith, and reverence for the one who has entrusted us with His plans. By practicing these tools consistently, we create a spiritual stronghold around our purpose, ensuring that it remains aligned with God's will and free from unnecessary interference. In conclusion, the tools of strategic silence, fortress prayer, and trusted allies are gifts from God, designed to protect and nurture the divine calling He has placed upon our lives. These tools require discipline, discernment, and a deep trust in God's timing. As chosen ones, we are called to use these tools not only to safeguard our purpose, but also to honor the sacred connection we share with God. By doing so, we position ourselves to fulfill the mission He has given us, walking boldly in faith and confidence, knowing that His protection and guidance are with us every step of the way. Part 5. Solitude as Divine Preparation. For the chosen ones, solitude is not a punishment or a burden, but a divine gift, a sacred space intentionally created by God to prepare them for their calling. While the world may interpret loneliness as rejection or failure, in God's plan, solitude becomes a time of transformation, growth, and intimate communion with the Creator. It is in these quiet, isolated moments that God reveals His purpose, strengthens faith, and equips His chosen for the unique mission they carry. Throughout Scripture, God has used seasons of solitude to shape those He has called. Jesus Himself often withdrew to lonely places to pray, finding clarity and strength in moments of quiet communion with the Father. Luke reminds us, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." His example shows us that solitude is not about being abandoned or forgotten, but about creating intentional time to hear God's voice without distraction. It is in these moments that the noise of the world fades, and the whispers of heaven become undeniable. Solitude serves as a divine classroom where God teaches lessons that cannot be learned in the presence of others. During these seasons, God refines character, builds resilience, and deepens spiritual understanding. He strips away the distractions and influences that might compromise the purity of His revelations. Like a potter working with clay, God uses solitude to mold and shape us, removing the flaws and weaknesses that might hinder our ability to fulfill our purpose. For many chosen ones, solitude feels uncomfortable at first. The absence of companionship, affirmation, or external validation can create a sense of emptiness. Yet, this emptiness is not a void. It is space intentionally cleared by God to make room for His presence. In solitude, the chosen ones are invited to lean fully on Him, finding their identity, strength, and purpose not in the approval of others, but in their connection with the Creator. This reliance on God becomes a cornerstone of their faith, enabling them to stand firm even in the face of trials. The story of Moses offers a powerful example of how God uses solitude for preparation. After fleeing Egypt, Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness, tending sheep in isolation. During this time, God was preparing him for the monumental task of leading the Israelites out of slavery. The solitude Moses experienced allowed him to develop humility, patience, and a deep reliance on God. When the time came for him to fulfill his calling, he was ready, not because of his own strength, but because of the work God had done in him during his years of isolation. Solitude also provides a shield of protection for the chosen ones. When God sets someone apart, he often separates them from relationships, environments, or influences that could compromise their calling. This separation is not rejection, but divine protection. It ensures that the chosen ones remain focused on their purpose, free from distractions or entanglements that might lead them astray. Have you ever noticed how seasons of solitude often coincide with moments of spiritual growth? This is no coincidence. God removes external noise to draw his chosen closer to him, allowing his voice to become the dominant influence in their lives. In solitude, God often reveals the most profound truths. These are the moments when he imparts divine wisdom, unveils the details of his plan, and strengthens the chosen ones for the journey ahead. These revelations are deeply personal and sacred, meant to be pondered and nurtured in silence. Mary, the mother of Jesus, serves as a beautiful example of this. After the angel Gabriel announced her divine purpose, Mary did not run to share her news with the world. Instead, Luke 2 verse 19 tells us, "But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart." She recognized that certain revelations were not meant to be shared, but to be protected and meditated upon in the safety of her relationship with God. However, solitude is not without challenges. It often brings with it feelings of vulnerability and doubt. The chosen ones may wonder why God has set them apart or why the path ahead seems so lonely. These moments of questioning are natural, but they are also opportunities to deepen faith. When the chosen ones turn to God in their solitude, they find reassurance in his promises and strength in his presence. It is in these moments of quiet surrender that they realize they are never truly alone. God is always with them, guiding, protecting, and preparing them. The enemy often tries to use solitude as a weapon, planting seeds of doubt and discouragement. He whispers lies, suggesting that isolation means abandonment or that God has forgotten his chosen ones. But these are deceptions meant to derail the chosen from their purpose. The truth is that God uses solitude as a sacred season of preparation, not as a punishment, but as a blessing. The enemy cannot disrupt what God is doing in the secret places unless the chosen ones allow fear or doubt to take root. Solitude also sharpens discernment. When chosen ones are removed from the noise of the world, they learn to distinguish God's voice from the voices of others. This clarity is essential for navigating the path ahead. In solitude, God refines their spiritual sensitivity, equipping them to recognize his guidance even in the midst of chaos. This heightened discernment becomes a powerful tool, enabling them to make decisions that align with his will and to avoid the pitfalls of external influences. The lessons learned in solitude are invaluable. They prepare the chosen ones for the challenges and responsibilities that come with their calling. When they emerge from this season, they do so with a deeper understanding of their purpose, a stronger connection to God, and an unshakable faith that cannot be easily swayed. Solitude transforms them into vessels of God's glory, ready to fulfill the mission he has entrusted to them. In the end, solitude is not about being alone. It is about being set apart. It is a sacred space where God refines, prepares, and equips his chosen ones for their divine purpose. It is a season of growth that strengthens their faith, sharpens their discernment, and deepens their reliance on him. Though it may feel uncomfortable or even painful at times, solitude is a gift that brings immeasurable blessings. It is in this sacred stillness that the chosen ones find their true strength, their divine calling, and their unbreakable connection to the Creator. For the chosen ones walking through a season of solitude, the key is to embrace it as a divine opportunity, rather than resisting or fearing it. They must lean into the quiet, trusting that God is at work in ways they cannot yet see. Solitude is not a detour, but a part of the journey, a vital step in becoming who God has called them to be. In this sacred space, they are not abandoned but held, not forgotten but being prepared for something far greater than they could ever imagine. Through solitude, they are drawn closer to the heart of God, transformed by his presence, and made ready to fulfill their divine destiny. Part 6. Timing and Discernment. Timing and discernment are essential pillars in the life of a chosen one. While the excitement of receiving divine revelations can make us eager to act or share immediately, God's plans operate within a framework of perfect timing. Every purpose under heaven has an appointed season. As Ecclesiastes reminds us, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. The chosen ones must learn to trust this divine timing, understanding that waiting is not a delay but a preparation for something greater. God's timing is never rushed, and it is never late. It operates in ways that often defy human logic, but it is always perfect. When we act prematurely or outside of God's timing, even with good intentions, we risk disrupting the process He has carefully designed. Just as a seed planted too early may wither in unprepared soil, divine plans that are rushed into action often falter because they have not been given the proper foundation to grow. Timing is God's way of ensuring that every step of our journey aligns with His will, bringing us closer to the fulfillment of our purpose. Discernment is the tool that helps us navigate the complexities of God's timing. It allows us to differentiate between the urge to act on our own and the call to move in alignment with God's will. This requires a heart that is attuned to the whispers of the Holy Spirit, sensitive enough to recognize when God is urging us forward and when He is telling us to wait. Discernment is cultivated through prayer, reflection, and an unwavering reliance on God's guidance. The Bible provides countless examples of the importance of timing and discernment in fulfilling God's plans. Consider the story of Abraham and Sarah. God promised them a son, but His timing required them to wait longer than they anticipated. In their impatience, they took matters into their own hands, leading to complications that affected generations. Yet, when they finally trusted in God's timing, His promise was fulfilled in a way that brought glory to His name. Their story serves as a reminder that stepping outside of God's timing, no matter how well-meaning, can lead to unnecessary struggles and delays. Discernment is also critical when deciding whom to involve in God's plans for your life. Not everyone around you is meant to walk with you on your spiritual journey. Some may lack the faith, understanding, or spiritual maturity needed to support your calling. Others may harbor envy, doubt, or hidden motives that can disrupt the progress of your purpose. Timing and discernment work hand in hand to help you determine when to speak, what to share, and with whom to share it. Joseph's story illustrates this beautifully. When Joseph shared his dreams with his brothers prematurely, their envy led to betrayal, while God ultimately redeemed the situation and used it to fulfill His purpose. Joseph's experience highlights the risks of revealing divine revelations to the wrong people or at the wrong time. Discernment teaches us to wait for God to show us the right moment and the right audience for sharing what He has placed within us. Patience is a cornerstone of trusting God's timing. Waiting is not easy, especially in a culture that values immediate results and rewards quick action. However, the chosen ones must remember that waiting on God is not passive but active. It involves seeking His presence in prayer, studying His Word, and preparing ourselves for the work He will call us to do when the time is right. Isaiah 40 verse 31 reminds us, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run, and not be weary, and they shall walk, and not faint." Waiting on God strengthens our faith, builds our character, and ensures that we are ready to step into His plans when He says it is time. During seasons of waiting, it is natural to experience doubt or frustration. Questions may arise. Why is this taking so long? Has God forgotten me? These moments are opportunities to deepen our trust in God. His timing is not meant to test our patience, but to prepare us for the greatness of His plans. When we surrender to His timing, we acknowledge that His perspective is infinitely greater than ours and that He sees what we cannot. Timing also plays a role in protecting us from harm. Sometimes, God withholds certain blessings or opportunities because we are not yet ready to handle them. He knows that revealing too much too soon could overwhelm us or expose us to attacks we are not equipped to face. By waiting on God, we allow Him to prepare not only the circumstances but also our hearts, ensuring that we are ready to steward the blessings He entrusts to us. Discernment and timing require a willingness to listen. Prayer becomes the bridge that connects us to God's guidance, allowing us to hear His voice clearly before making decisions or taking action. The chosen ones must turn to God, asking, "Is this your will? Is this the right time?" These questions reflect a heart that prioritizes God's plans over personal ambition, demonstrating humility and trust in His wisdom. One of the most profound aspects of God's timing is that it is always accompanied by peace. When we move in alignment with His will, even the most challenging circumstances feel purposeful. Conversely, when we act outside of His timing, we often encounter confusion, frustration, and obstacles that could have been avoided. Peace becomes a confirmation that we are walking in step with God's plans, a reassurance that we are exactly where He wants us to be. Discernment also teaches us that not every delay is a denial. Sometimes, what feels like a pause is God's way of orchestrating events in our favor. Behind the scenes, He may be aligning people, resources, and opportunities to ensure the success of His plans. Trusting in His timing means believing that every moment of waiting has a purpose, even when we cannot see it. Ultimately, timing and discernment are acts of faith. They require us to let go of our need for control and to trust that God's plans are far greater than anything we could imagine. By waiting on His timing and seeking His guidance, we position ourselves to receive His blessings in their fullness. The chosen ones are called to live with a sense of expectancy, knowing that God's promises are never late and that His timing is always perfect. In conclusion, timing and discernment are divine gifts that protect, guide, and prepare the chosen ones for their calling. They teach us patience, humility, and reliance on God, ensuring that we move in step with His will. By embracing these principles, we honor the sacred trust God has placed in us and create space for His plans to unfold without interference. In the waiting, we find strength. In the discernment, we find clarity. And in the perfect timing of God, we find the fulfillment of His purpose. Part 7. Blessings of protection and faith. The blessings that come from protecting divine secrets and walking in faith are profound and transformative. For the chosen ones, the act of safeguarding what God has entrusted is not just an exercise in obedience. It is a demonstration of trust in His plan and a commitment to honor His timing. This sacred discipline aligns the chosen ones with God's will, enabling them to experience the fullness of His blessings in their lives. Protecting divine secrets is more than a strategy. It is a declaration of faith and a pathway to spiritual victory. When we protect the sacred truths God has revealed, we build a spiritual stronghold around our purpose. This stronghold shields us from external distractions, criticism, and spiritual attacks. Proverbs reminds us, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. In the same way that we guard our hearts, we must also guard the divine treasures entrusted to us. This protection ensures that the seeds of purpose planted within us are nurtured in fertile, uncontaminated soil, allowing them to grow and bear fruit in God's perfect timing. Faith plays a central role in this process. By choosing to protect what is sacred, we demonstrate our trust in God's wisdom and timing. Faith is the foundation upon which all blessings are built, and it is through faith that we invite God to work in our lives. Hebrews defines faith as the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Protecting God's secrets requires this conviction, as we often cannot see the full picture of His plan. Instead, we rely on His promises, trusting that He will bring them to fruition in His perfect time. The act of protecting divine secrets also cultivates spiritual discernment. As we learn to guard what God has revealed, we become more attuned to His voice and His guidance. This heightened awareness allows us to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and clarity, recognizing the opportunities and relationships that align with His purpose. Discernment helps us avoid unnecessary pitfalls, ensuring that our energy and focus remain directed toward God's mission for our lives. One of the greatest blessings of protection and faith is the peace that comes from trusting in God's sovereignty. When we release the need to control outcomes or seek validation from others, we create space for God to work freely in our lives. Philippians 4 verse 7 promises, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." This peace becomes a constant companion, reminding us that we are under God's protection and that His plans are always for our good. Another blessing that flows from protecting divine secrets is spiritual strength. The discipline required to safeguard God's revelations builds resilience and character. It teaches us patience, humility, and perseverance, qualities that are essential for fulfilling our calling. As we grow in these areas, we become better equipped to handle the challenges and responsibilities that come with our purpose. Each act of obedience strengthens our faith, allowing us to face trials with confidence and courage. In addition to personal growth, protecting divine secrets often leads to unexpected blessings and opportunities. God rewards faithfulness, and when we honor His trust by guarding what He has revealed, He opens doors that no one can shut. Matthew says, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." This promise underscores the importance of keeping certain aspects of our spiritual journey private, trusting that God will reward our faithfulness in ways we cannot imagine. Furthermore, the discipline of protection and faith strengthens our relationship with God. In choosing to safeguard His secrets, we draw closer to Him, relying on His guidance and wisdom at every step. This intimacy deepens our understanding of His character and His love for us, fostering a sense of security that transcends circumstances. We begin to see ourselves as He sees us, chosen, protected, and deeply valued. Protecting divine secrets also impacts our relationships with others. By exercising discernment in whom we confide, we cultivate a circle of trusted allies who share our faith and support our journey. These relationships are marked by mutual respect, encouragement, and spiritual alignment. At the same time, the act of protection helps us recognize and distance ourselves from individuals who may not have our best interests at heart. This clarity ensures that our energy is invested in relationships that uplift rather than hinder us. One of the most profound blessings of protecting divine secrets is the fulfillment of God's promises in their appointed time. When we align ourselves with His timing and trust in His plan, we position ourselves to receive His blessings in their fullness. Habakkuk assures us, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time. It hastens toward the goal, and it will not fail. Though it tarries, wait for it, for it will certainly come. It will not delay." This verse reminds us that God's promises are never late and that our patience and faith will be rewarded. The chosen ones are also blessed with the ability to inspire and uplift others through their example. By demonstrating the discipline of protection and faith, they become living testimonies of God's goodness and faithfulness. Their lives serve as a beacon of hope, encouraging others to trust in God's timing and to honor the sacred truths He has placed within them. This ripple effect extends beyond their immediate circles, touching the lives of countless individuals and bringing glory to God. Finally, the ultimate blessing of protecting divine secrets is the fulfillment of our divine purpose. When we honor God's trust and align ourselves with His plan, we step into the fullness of what He has called us to do. This fulfillment brings a sense of joy, peace, and contentment that cannot be found anywhere else. It is the realization that we are walking in step with the Creator, living out the unique mission He designed for us. In conclusion, the blessings of protection and faith are immeasurable. They include peace, spiritual strength, discernment, and the fulfillment of God's promises. By safeguarding what God has revealed and trusting in His timing, the chosen ones align themselves with His will and create a foundation for lasting spiritual victory. This discipline is not merely about obedience. It is an act of love and trust that honors the sacred connection between the chosen ones and their Creator. Through protection and faith, they not only fulfill their purpose, but also become vessels of God's glory, reflecting His goodness and grace to the world. Walking boldly as one of the chosen. The journey of a chosen one is both sacred and transformative, a path that demands faith, discernment, and unwavering trust in God. Along the way, there are divine secrets to protect, challenges to overcome, and blessings to receive. Each step requires intentionality, a deep awareness of the weight of your calling, and the courage to honor the sacred trust God has placed within you. Through the 7 principles we've explored, you've been reminded of the profound importance of safeguarding what is holy. You've seen how silence is not weakness but a shield, how timing is not delay but preparation, and how solitude is not abandonment but divine refinement. These principles are not just guidelines but spiritual disciplines, tools that empower you to walk boldly and faithfully in your purpose. To carry God's secrets is to carry a sacred responsibility. The treasures He has placed within you are not random. They are intentional, designed to guide you, bless you, and ultimately glorify Him. By protecting them with strategic silence, anchoring yourself in prayer, and aligning with His perfect timing, you honor the sacred connection between you and your Creator. In doing so, you position yourself to receive the fullness of His blessings, experiencing peace, strength, and joy that only come from walking in step with His will. Remember, this journey is not one of perfection but of persistence. There will be moments of doubt, seasons of waiting, and times when the weight of your calling feels overwhelming. Yet, in those moments, turn to God, who has promised to walk with you every step of the way. Trust that His timing is always perfect, His plans are always good, and His presence is always near. As you move forward, take these truths with you. You are chosen, you are loved, you are protected. The purpose God has placed within you is unstoppable when it is guarded in faith, prayer, and discernment. In His time, He will reveal the fullness of His plan, and the world will see the greatness of His work in your life. Until that moment comes, continue to walk boldly, shielding the sacred, trusting in His promises, and embracing the journey He has prepared for you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May He make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May He turn His face toward you and give you peace. Go forth as a chosen one, confident in His guidance and steadfast in His love, knowing that His purpose for your life is far greater than anything you can imagine. Amen.